boy, today is finally, it happens around here, is happening around here, and we've had some pretty crappy weather in April. As they say, it is the coolest month, but we have an awesome show tonight. We're going back to the Garden State of New Jersey. I've done plenty of shows there, and the weather outside is great, and I'm praising it, because I know when it sucks, people make, fusses about it, but when it's nice, they don't say a word, so I'm saying I'm happy about it. But before we get to the guests, got to read these incredible underwriters as usual, and then we will commence. So, we have Rose Jewelers in Kingston. We have Brian's Auto and Tire Service in Middleborough. We have a new one, Jalen's Restaurant in Middleborough. They make great pizza. We have Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We have Madigan Land Surveying in Middleborough. We have the Cornerstone Barbershop in Pembroke. We have Kingston Auto Body in Kingston. We have Evan Young Realty. That's my brother, the realtor. We have Countertops Express in North Attleboro, experts in the installation and removal of quartz and granite. We have Equestrians Anonymous right down the street, I should say, here in Carver on Route 58. Quality use tax, saddles, equipment, show clothing, essentials, and gifts for the horse, hound, and human. We have Outback Arms LLC in Plimpton. We have the Masket Olive Oil Company in Middleborough. And we have Tom Auto in Middleborough. I want to thank you guys very much. And now, Joel Balazinski, you're a construction worker. Do you have a podcast of your own? I thought because it looked to me like when you were doing the post for the show, you had your headsets on. Tell me about that a little, if you would.
Oh, that's was an incident from I would say 15 or 16 years ago, when I was involved in politics. I was running for mayor of Beechwood, New Jersey, and I was asked to go on a plethora of shows, radio, television, talk shows, and explain what was actually going on with that. And in short, there was some corruption in the area.
Okay.
And I had inadvertently assisted it to happen. I helped to campaign for the person that was corrupt. And when I found out he was corrupt, I automatically did a 180 and
180. Yep. Wow.
Get him out of there. And I was like, and I ran against him as mayor, and within like I think it was not 2.5, 3 years, he resigned. But it took all that exposure and a lot of sacrifice. And when I say corruption, I mean from everywhere from the police right to the top level. And I had to stand against them practically alone. There was somebody else. I don't want to mention his name without his permission, but somebody was along with me. But we were on Channel 12 News. You've heard of Channel 12.
Well, we got
News 12 New Jersey.
From Providence, but there's Channel 12s in a lot of places. But
yeah,
big station. Yeah, it's down. Was it Trenton? You said?
That's Newark.
Newark. Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, so did you win the election?
I lost the election by 29 votes, and I campaigned for myself.
Did the person who win do a good job? Were you happy with the person who won or not? I mean, it's okay as long as we're talking.
I wasn't.
Okay, I mean, you wanted to win. I get it. Okay, you probably would have done a good job too.
And you know what? And you're right.
Where it lived, and that's fantastic.
Harrison, I consider even losing was a win, because my goal was to get that person out, and so he resigned before. So, and somebody took his place. So I was extremely happy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's a proxy thing. It's just like in politics and anything else. All right. Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad I brought that up. See, there's something about you I didn't even know. But you're all right. Well, you're also a construction worker, and are you still working, or are you retired? You're younger than me, I think. So you must still. You look very healthy.
I'm 63.
Yeah, you're younger than me a little bit.
I started in 1979.
Okay, and you're out of high school, right?
Right at
Okay.
Right in that vicinity, and I had moved from Bergen County to Ocean County. Okay. And that's where my business began. I was like, I got to do something, and it took a little bit of juggling, because I was 18. I'm not a mastermind, and I had never owned a business before. I started very slow. I had to, of course, work for other people during the growth of JB Custom Contracting.
Okay.
And I learned a lot along the way. I worked for other contractors. I worked in other fields, in like I delivered hospital beds, for instance, and put them together, delivered oxygen and set it up for people in need. I did a lot of things.
Yeah,
I ran a pizzeria.
Oh, well, all right. Well, what kind of construction is it? Commercial, residential, both?
I do both commercial and residential. At this point, it's mostly home improvement,
Okay.
and I enjoy it. It's something I don't see an end in sight. Actually, even if I could, I would always do it.
It's no, you don't work if you love what you do, and that's fantastic.
That's pretty much it. But there have been some things recently that came to light that are trying to make me not so much enjoy my line of work. And,
Okay, you want to talk about them? That's up to you. If not,
yeah, I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. I know what you're
just to get it out there. Of course, we need licensing and all, and contractors. There was a point where we didn't. Some years ago, you just you could register or you didn't have, but it eventually became a law, and so I'm a registered and licensed. I'm licensed and insured. What happened now in the last couple of years, without my knowledge, and a lot of people's knowledge, is that now our so-called governor of New Jersey, his name is Phil Murphy,
okay.
enacted another law where not only do we have to pay the $100 fee to become registered, not quite licensed, it's registered, but we have to be bonded too for an equal amount, another $100. And it perturbs me that we have to pay these fees, number one, to have the privilege of working and feeding ourselves and paying our bills.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not like this is just a recent thing, I guess, right?
It's recent. I only found out about it, and it's in a very fine print. I wouldn't have found out unless the way I did. I tried getting my license. They said, "Oh, you need to be bonded," and not only that, I was grandfathered in from having to take an exam, so I don't have to do that.
That's good.
But they also in this law have enacted that I have to go to schooling from now on every year.
Okay.
And yes, we continue. I could actually, not trying to float my own boat here, but I could be teaching these classes. But they want me to go for continued education in my field. I'm 63. What is it that I don't know about my field?
Well, is there some kind of way you can lobby against this? Because as someone who got a political corrupter out of office, maybe this is something you might want to take up with. Get a few signatures and round it up, and can you do something like that?
I actually, Harrison, that's a good question, and I appreciate you saying that. I have made some phone calls. I called Washington Department of Justice, and I made I went right to the top, and I also called the governor's office and spoke to certain people there who don't agree with what he's doing. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to mention any names, like I said, because I don't like to make waves. But a lot of people who he's close to don't agree with what he's doing.
You don't want to mess it. You don't want it messed up. I don't blame you. Make waves. That's what you got to do.
Well, I want to make him at the right time.
Okay.
I don't want to make it across the pond where it's not going to sink the boat. I want to be right next to the boat.
I understand.
So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to, that's why I wanted to say it on air, is I'm trying to organize a group or a large group of contractors in New Jersey that will help me to legislate this out of law.
Yeah.
We need to do this properly, and I'm not somebody who stands on the side of the road and screams, holding up signs. We need to do this right.
Yep.
We get to work. The protesting that's all nobody hears it. Nobody, you got to get there, get there and make these laws change and tell why. If it takes a lawsuit, if it takes exposing this man for all the corruption that he's doing and taking away that's my civil right to work.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm guessing, as someone who's had his own business for 46 years, I got to figure you probably have a lot of people that know you and have worked with you. So aren't these the people that you got to go after to try and help you through this?
Yes, but I'm going to I'm going to go through the entirety of New Jersey, and I have to do a lot of. I need exposure, and that's why I was glad to be able to say this on your show. Exposure was a good thing because now, of course, I'm going to say, "Hey guys, watch Harrison Blake Young's show, topic time, and hear what I got to say on there." So it's the beginning of something, but I think it's something necessary. It's not like I haven't had things legislated before. I mean, I was 28 years old. My children were kidnapped by their mom back in 1985.
Yep.
And it took 2.5 years for me to get my children back. They were in California. There was no extradition. There was nothing I could do. And judges and lawyers were telling me that just be a good dad and just pay your child support. And I was like, those are my children. I want to see them. They're across the country. And I had custody of them when they were taken. So laws were broken. Well, 2.5 years later, I was working with the Ocean County Sheriff's Department, and we got wind of where she was, and it was California. And, the kids were being abused. I'll say it right out.
Wow.
Well, they cornered her, and they told her, you're going to be going to jail. We'll work something out with you if you relinquish the children. Well, I got my kids back.
Yeah.
I flew out there overnight with my sister came with me. We flew out to California. I'd never been on a jet before. I was on 4 in 20 hours. And boy, that was a shock, But I got back to New Jersey within a week's time. The Sheriff's Department, Salamonte was the investigator, requested that I sit on the parental kidnapping board in Toms River.
Wow.
Which I did, and I was a group of several people. And within 8 months, we had legislated parental kidnapping laws that turned parental kidnapping into a third-degree felony in New Jersey. And we also extended it to work along with California to create extradition between the two states, which never existed before.
Right now, first of all, this was 40 years ago. How are your kids? They're adults now. How are they doing?
My boys are grown men.
Yep.
Very responsible, very good. I have grandchildren with my daughter also. She's from a different marriage, but they're all responsible. I have 3 beautiful granddaughters.
Okay.
And with the right raising and nurturing, they grow up to be healthy, very sound-minded men. I'm very proud of all my children.
Well, and if you hadn't brought it up from this angle, I wouldn't be asking this question. But what happened to their mother? Did she do jail time?
No, it wasn't possible. She was out of state. We actually have contact with her, and she knows her granddaughter. So we leave it at that. We try to be reasonable after 40 years.
I know it's hard to believe it was 40 years ago. 1985 seems like the blink of an eye ago to me.
I know.
Even 1975 does. Even 1965. So you know how time is. Okay.
Let me tell you something, Harrison. It really seems like now that you mention it, and I've said this before, it seems as though it was a whole lifetime or another lifetime away, like a separate one. Each facet of my life seems to go in that with that nature. Like
you wear many hats, even though you're not wearing one right now. But that seems to be you've lived a life of a lot of adventure. It seems like, and not all good, but it's something that. See, here's the thing: my life is pretty much the same as it's always been. I don't have any kids. I've never been married. I probably never will be. So basically, my life has always been trying to better myself by being creative and finally creating Topic Time, which is what I've been doing for 15 years. But it still seems like it's a very short time ago. It seems my life has not been zigzagging like yours has but not even close. And I couldn't even imagine what it would be like if it was. But I commend you for what you've accomplished. Through all that. That's incredible.
Thanks, Harrison. Hey, we got to find you a wife. Then I'm a reverend. I can perform your wedding on your show.
Right. Find me a wife. You got any beautiful girls out there that might want to. That might want to hook up with the coolest TV podcaster. Well, I mean, Joe Rogan's pretty cool, but he's married. I don't know what he is, but
let's work it out. We'll figure something out for you.
Yeah. Listen, I'm down with that. I got I think, you know, you got one thing I've learned in my life is that you got to figure that you got to look at life as your best years are ahead of you. Now, you know, I have a lot of people I've known that I went to high school with. Sadly, a lot of them have passed away. A few hundred that were my age. So a lot of them that I knew. And we have this group on Facebook. A lot of members of my high school class talk about. I mean, it seems like even this year we've already lost about six people. It seems like every year we lose, people and everything. But I try not to dwell on that because, I try to think to myself, and everybody's all bent out. It's something you gotta live your own life and make the best of it in spite of that. And so far I have. I never thought I'd live as long as I have. I've had health issues. I've cheated death a whole bunch of times too. That's something that when it happens, now the thing is, you look back on it and it's like, did that ever really happen to me? When I had pneumonia when I was 44 and I couldn't breathe for 3 months, and then I had to have an endoscopy, which is the procedure that killed Joan Rivers, and I had to do a biopsy because it felt like I had a golf ball in my chest. It was awful. But I went through all this, and I almost died from some kind of a supplement I took that I got at Whole Foods one day back in 2008. I ended up in the hospital, and I had for 20 minutes lying on a gurney in the emergency room. I thought I was going to die right there, but I can't. Wow. My immune system fought off whatever was in there, the parasite that was in me, and I just went home and I thought to myself, what just happened for the last 6 hours? So life is full of crazy stuff, obviously, and as someone who's pretty much, you obviously have a pretty good family thing. I'm good with my family, but I pretty much wing it alone. My life is aside from the show, I really don't even have a social life, to be honest with you. And maybe in some ways that's a good thing, but in other ways it can suck too. But the point is, looking back on stuff like that, it seems like time has gone a lot quicker than it would have if I'd had a lot of complications like you have. Other, personal, complications involving other people like you did. Most of my complications have not involved other people. I've just been my own.
Right.
Now, all right, well, let's talk about tell me about, now you said you're a musician too. You play guitar. Have you done anything like in acting? Have you ever done any, played sports or anything like that? I like to find out how multifaceted everybody is that I interview.
I was asked maybe 4 or 5 years ago to participate in I guess he was an aspiring producer and movie writer, and he had asked me to act in his production.
Okay.
And it never really went anywhere. I mean, we did scenes, and I actually helped to write some of the scenes. It was a mob. It was a mob movie.
Yeah, well, something. I was just telling my tech guy that you reminded me of a mob guy when I saw you. We've been Facebook friends for a few years, and that's why I asked if you had Italian in you when we started the show.
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Harrison, but
no, it's a good thing. I mean, I can see you. I can see you being a mobster in a film. Definitely, I can see you in The Sopranos. Well, I don't think that's not good anymore, but something like that.
It conflicts with my being irreverent.
Well, exactly. But I mean, that's the thing about acting. You can be the exact opposite of your movie persona. That's life. That's kind of cool when you think about it, because that really opens a lot of doors.
Well, maybe I could write a movie called Mafia Priest.
Exactly. Well, tell me about your religion. How did you become a reverend? How did that get going?
It's a good question too. I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
Baptized, communion, confirmation. I got older, and I didn't fall away from the church, but I believe more so the church fell away from me.
Okay.
I started to see a change from the Vatican down, and it became more of a money-making establishment than it was spreading the word of God. Okay. And they still do that, but then, one basket became 2 baskets. And then, okay, whatever you wanted to put in became written on the outside of the envelope. I don't like that. That's like trying to embarrass somebody into giving more and more. And then it went further, and I knew some people had passed away, and when they went to the church that they knew of in their town, the church refused to perform the services because they weren't part of the parish. And okay, well, they just wanted a religious service, and things like that happened throughout, the years that I watched.
Okay,
And one day, I just maybe 10, 12 years ago, I decided I wanted to do something. I actually wanted to be a deacon when I was younger. I tried to do that through the church too, but I didn't make the requirements. I wasn't good enough to be a deacon, but I'm good enough to give money in
you know
the
what they call
basket.
that? You know the band Steely Dan, that's Deacon Blues. Great song.
I love that song, by the
I
way.
love it too. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I decided to, take measures and get education in that area, and I
Okay,
became a reverend, and for the sole purpose of um, boosting people's faith, and on top of that, see, I'm not a preacher. People say I've been mistaken as, hey, preacher Joel. I don't preach
okay,
because I don't have the right to. I'm not
okay.
better than anybody else, and I don't have the answers. I
Well,
might have the answers sometimes, and if I do, I'll help you. But more so, people are lacking faith,
okay,
and they need that. And if somebody passes away and their family needs somebody to perform, I'll perform the service, and I've done it many times. I've actually married a lot of people in the last 5 or 6 years as my name started getting around. I also performed my own son's wedding,
okay.
and my granddaughter's baptism. I did hers too, but I charge for weddings, and I'll take gratuities for funerals, but I will not charge for baptisms. I don't care who it is,
Okay.
adult or child, because the Holy Spirit is not mine to sell.
There you go.
That's between God and the person receiving it. But I'm proud and honored to be an in-between and go-between and help that to happen. And it's just something. See, the church does charge for baptisms. And $800 for funerals, $800 for baptism, $800. Why? God isn't yours to sell.
Makes no sense. Just like with the rules that you're trying to fend off. Well, listen, Joe, we're in the final 5 minutes of the show. I hope you had fun talking to me.
I really do.
Okay, well, give a few shouts out to people very quickly, and then we'll wrap the show up with my snap and the way we began it.
Well, what would you just say? I couldn't hear you.
Say like your family members, friends, whatever. Just people that Susan Olson on Brady Bunch, whatever.
Oh yeah, hey, Susan Olson over there in California. She's my Facebook friend. God bless her.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, say hi to your cousin Sarah Silverman. I've always admired her acting.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. I'll say
Yeah, my whole family, my kids, Jesse, Joel, Chelsea, everybody else, all my family that I love. Hope you watch the show. And Harrison, I would love to come back and extend this show with more knowledge and more things that are happening in my life.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if you know anyone that'll be a great guest for me, give them my digits. I'd love to have them on, either in person or by Zoom.
No problem. I think I could set you up.
That'd be great. Okay, so we're gonna wrap the show up. You stick around and let my tech guy take a pic for Facebook, and I'll tag you in it.
Thank you very much.
Is that you'll do that? You stick around and let my tech guy take a pic.
I'll stick around.
All right, folks. Wrap it up in another great Talking Time episode. See you next time. It's gonna be another great show, so don't miss it. Snapping off and rolling out.